From the mid-19th century, the town started to display its prosperity with important commercial and public buildings. The Catholic Church, of seemingly cathedral proportions, was started in 1857 and extended in 1873. In 1860, the town had one of the first major post offices built in the state. In 1870, Jason Lonergan established what was to be the Grand Emporium of Mudgee, a huge and beautifully decorated department store. There was the usual spate of veranda-fronted hotels, there were impressive public buildings and banks, and a Masonic temple. The second half of the 19th century made Mudgee appear a rich boom town. It still appears as a rich town, but that is because there was little redevelopment during the 20th century. Mudgee's population grew to 8,600 people in 2001, but like many country towns, its population declined by 2006. Its population is also of lower socio-economic level than the average for Australia. Almost symbolic of both the rise and decline of the Mudgee boom and the rise and decline of the state's rail services is the 1884 built railway station. Substantially built with Victorian decorative elements, it contained a commodious booking hall and waiting rooms for people to remain comfortable until their train north or south to Sydney arrived. Like most non-mainline rail links, it was closed. It was reopened with a centenary of Federation fanfare, but like some sick joke, it was closed again a few years later. With no air service or rail service, the apology for public transport to and from Mudgee, as with most country towns, is a bus service. Whereas one could previously front up to the station and buy a ticket for the next train, the slow and uncomfortable bus ride must be pre-booked by telephone. No trains, empty rail lines, but the Grand Station has been preserved and leased as a restaurant. One of the few developments to occur in the 20th century was cinema. The Alhambra was one of the earliest buildings used to show films. In Church Street, there had been the major silent film cinema, the Criterion. Around the corner in Mortimer Street, another cinema was licensed in 1951.
That was built by my grandfather, Mr. Adams. He built that. Because at the time you couldn't have a monopoly over theatres. So if he built another one, that meant no one else had come to town. No, it never operated. It was set up, everything was put in it, the seats, the projection gear. He ran a movie in it to see that it worked. And then decided with the advent of TV that it wasn't necessary, so he dismantled everything, sold the seats, sold everything out of it, and then it was eventually sold for a furniture store, and then it went to the RSL, I think, for dance hall for some years, and then it went to Woolworths here.
The Civic remained licensed to show films for about a decade, but was never used. The cinema that was used to show films constantly for 72 years is the Regent Theatre. It was built in 1935.
We also inherited the Regent Theatre from my grandfather. He took the theatre over in 1936. It was built in opposition to him. Within, I think, a matter of a year at any rate, he was asked would he run it, and he said, no, I'll take it over. So he bought it and moved in. And it went very successfully, and he was an entrepreneur in his own right. Later down the track, with his passing, and my grandmother passed on as well, it was left to the 4 children, which is my brother and 2 sisters, and they'd all married, moved away, and I had the property out of Mudgee a fair way, but I was the closest. We bought a house in town and moved in, and we stayed here for 23 years. We went through the change. My grandfather had TV come in, he rode that out. Then came in cassettes and everything, and we rode them out, but with the advent of DVDs, it just became too much and too hard. And the other 3 members of the family were getting on in years and they wanted to get out. So I think it was time. We had an offer, so we sold it in good intent. My grandfather was quite innovative in his ideas, and the nursery, I gather, was one of the very early nurseries in the Southern Hemisphere, and he set it up, and the paintings on the wall were painted by a gentleman by the name of Viv Ganninan, and he lived at Yarrabin. We understand he played for Australia cricket once we know of, and that's about all we can tell you about him. They're very good. They're amazing. Just for watercolour, they're plain watercolour. That's all they are, yeah. They do. We used to do the 3 ballet schools here, plus the school speech days, play nights, and a lot of those too, yes. And I think every child in town has at least 2 grandparents. Most of them have 4, I think, because you just pack the place, you know. And it is needed by the town, and it'll be absolute disaster if it loses it. But hopefully, you know, something will become of it, and it'll carry on.
Things started happening at the Regent when the present owner decided he wanted to sell it. Now I was contacted by the property agent who was in charge of doing the auction for the Regent, and he called me out of the blue one day and said, "Look, you know, the Regent's going out for auction. We'd like to put a pretty hefty marketing and PR campaign about it, and we're toying with the idea of actually opening the cinema for the first time in 18 months. So I was offered the opportunity to open the Regent and run it for 3 weekends. And really, I guess it was mine to do with what I wanted during those 3 weekends. Although Mudgee is a big town, it doesn't seem to offer a great deal for the youth to do, and that seems to be the feedback that I've been getting from a number of people. So, you know, I really wanted to sort of target the school holidays and see how they would react if the Regent was open. And so anyway, we got underway, and myself, in conjunction with my partners who were involved in Flicks and the Sticks, put a movie schedule together, and I sort of come up with the concept of the Regent revival. I saw this as an opportunity not only for Mojale events and promotions to sort of really make a bit of a mark in Mudgee and surrounds, but also I guess as an opportunity to harness the support for the theatre as a way to, I guess, vote for their support that they want the Regent open.
for the pre-sale revival of the theatre. The front was repainted and the interior cleaned to show the original decor to best effect.
This weekend is the last weekend now of the 3 weekends that has made up the Regent revival. We've been pretty astounded by the reaction of local residents and supporters of the theatre. I've had any number of people coming into the theatre and simply reliving some memories. You can see it written all over their face, the memories and the good times they've had in the theatre. There's any number of people have been pulling out cameras and taking pictures and whatnot. And I suppose it's really sort of cemented in my mind, and I think a lot of people's mind, that Mudgee does warrant an operating theatre such as the Regent, and hopefully in the future that dream might be realised.
In the bio box, possibly for the last time, the older projectors are being threaded with a 35mm film. The Q frame is first set in the gate through which the light passes. Then the film is carefully clipped over the sprockets above and below the gate, and further down over the sound head. The mechanical clutter is largely caused by the one sprocket that pulls the film through the gate, 1 frame at a time, 24 frames per second. This technology has served the industry well for over 100 years. But it is now being superseded by digital projection from a computer hard drive. All the sprockets are rechecked to make sure that the pins on each are correctly meshing with the sprocket holes at the edge of the film. The light source technology is even older. It is created by electrical current jumping across a gap between 2 pencil-thick, copper-sheathed carbon tubes, one of which has to be adjusted after projecting each reel of film. It produces an extremely bright light. One feature film may comprise 5 or 6 reels, with the 2 projectors showing alternate reels. So the projectionist is constantly threading film, checking the screen near the end of a reel to see the cue marks for the changeover from one projector to the other, and rewinding. When one reel has been shown, the projectionist will open all the sprocket clips ready to take the next reel. But in the meantime, he will rewind the used reel of film and replace it in its box for returning to the film's distributor.
Beautiful.
And they've managed to pull a fantastic schedule of movies together. We've shown 16 movies in 22 sessions. So the numbers through the door, the first 2 weekends hovered around the 1,000 mark for each weekend, and we're only doing Friday and Saturday this weekend, so we'll probably end up around the high 2,000, so closer to 3,000 than 2.5. So yeah, that's my estimate at this stage.
We are.
Okay, and what do you think about the cinemas just the last couple of weeks running these films?
I think it's been great. Yeah, it's given the kids something to do, gets them off the street, gives us something to do as well. So, yeah, no, it's great. So, yeah.
Okay, and living locally, what were your experiences of the cinema in the past, like going back many years ago, or for that matter, just a few years ago?
She's local, I'm not, but I've been here for 19 years, but yeah, we used to come a fair bit.
Frequent visitor
Yeah.
before, yeah, especially in the childhood.
Okay, so without the cinema here, how were things different?
Oh, quiet, weren't they, for like the kids and that? I mean, I think
give
the
the
kids
kids a lot to do, so you probably relied more on your DVDs, that type of thing, but then they're at home a lot, so...
But it's not they've lost that social aspect too, whereas before they had that social aspect. I mean, you look at the kids down here at the moment, like the kids hanging around having fun and that. You know, they're not on the streets, they're not doing things that they shouldn't be doing, hopefully. So, yeah, I think this is a better environment to have your kids going to on a Friday night, Saturday night. So, yeah.
Hello. Hi. Okay, Adam and Blake, tell me, you've been here 3 times in the last couple of days. Why?
Oh, it's good entertainment and it's a nice social event.
What makes it social?
Just all the people here and good night out.
So, with the cinema not operating for 18 months, what other things were you guys doing during that time?
Nothing, basically. We had the skate park, but that's really kind of exclusive. Other than that, really, there's nothing else. About it. just this, and then that closed, so nothing.
So for you guys to go and see a movie somewhere, where would you have to go? How far away, and how would you get there?
Bathurst, Dubbo, Orange, so an hour plus.
Hour and a half plus.
Yeah, hour and a half plus.
Okay, and neither of you are old enough to drive?
No.
So to get there, you'd have to rely on family, friends, whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and it'd be a big day if you're going to go there because it'd be 3 hours travelling in the day, and then you've got to see the movie, so it'd be 5 or 6 hours for just to go see one movie. So it's, and with the price of petrol nowadays.
And movie tickets and everything over there, so yeah, expensive to go see a movie.
So what do you think of the advantages of having a cinema operating here in town?
Well, it just gives us something to do, and I don't know, hopefully helps out town.
Toby, please, if you could just tell us a little bit about your experiences of this cinema.
Yeah, I've only lived here a few years, so like 8, and I've come here right up to where it shut down. It was really good, bit of entertainment around the town. The last 18 months, it's definitely been noticeable since it's shut down, and now that it's opened up again, it's been a lot of hype around town. Lots of people have enjoyed coming again. Just last experience, if it is going to be the last experience, or whether it stays open from now on, it'll be interesting to find out.
And just from a personal point of view, why do you like coming to films here?
I like coming to films because you don't get the same experience at home here, and it's an old theatre, so you get the original, authentic experience the way it was intended to be.
Okay, tell us your experiences of this theatre over the years.
Lots of memories from when we grew up from school when we tried to sneak out, but yeah, we were good girls most of the time. But yeah, no, we did grow up, and the best thing, we've brought our kids here to watch movies as well. And if it did shut down, it would be very, very sad.
What do you like about this particular building?
The history. You can smell the history in that place. But no, it's just a nice feeling, and you don't get that in the newer theatres.
What do you think it is that's different about that feeling between here and the new theatres?
Plastic. You don't get the smell of history.
You say you brought your kids here. What have their reactions been like?
Oh, they loved it. We brought to see the turtles, didn't we?
Yeah.
And they loved it. Yeah, we were downstairs, yeah, and they loved it.
I've got older children and there's nothing for them to do.
When you say older, what sort of ages?
16, 13, and then younger. Yeah.
Thank you, bye.
I've been here 6 years and I've been here quite often, and we were quite saddened to know it was shutting, and yeah, no, we'd definitely keep coming if it was open, definitely.
So in the last 18 months, what has changed in town without the cinema being here?
We don't get many social outings without the kids. No, well, we don't go to Dubbo or anywhere else for movies, so we just don't see movies.
Video.
We wait till they come out on Ozstar or DVD.
So if you decided, yeah, I really want to see that movie and I had to go to Bathurst or Orange, just tell me what the process is.
Wouldn't do it, because have to find a babysitter and do all those things, and you just wouldn't do it. You'd wait till it came out on DVD.
It's a whole social outing.
And great for the kids in the holidays, because I mean there's not a lot for kids to do around here. I mean I've got very young kids, but I mean for older kids, teenagers, yeah, they need it.
Okay. So Tyler, just tell me your experience of coming to this cinema.
Been great. It's not all fancy Hollywood going to Sydney style, but it's old style. I like that, and it's all heritage for me.
Okay, and what makes it good? Why this rather than staying at home watching a DVD?
Socialising, gets you out, active, watch a few movies, popcorn's great, and yeah, just different. So
you mentioned about it being an old heritage building. How does that make the experience different for you?
Just love heritage. It's good. Our whole style, pattern, so everything, yeah. All the other movies just dark rooms and they got nothing to show about them, but just the lights, just everything. I like it.